Hello, welcome to Glitter Goddess Yoga. My name is Anthony. You can call me Am. Um, Today we are doing transition yoga. It is the first week of October. It's the first day of October. It's a full moon. This month is kind of just encapsulated by a full moon. We have one today on the 1st and then one the last day of October on the 31st, which is cool and exciting. One of my friends also has a birthday today. Happy birthday to Venus. Shout out to you. This is our second yoga class in building some engagement for my walking meditation project in collaboration with the South Providence Library. Thank you to Providence Community Libraries for supporting this class. And to the South Providence Library for making that happen. As always, because I can't respond to your body in real life, be really intentional as you move into poses, as you're in poses. We'll really think about and look at how we transition from pose to pose today, really looking into transitioning into fall, transitioning into a new era for, politically, maybe we feeling this emotionally, spiritually. So I felt like it was important to touch on that. We are continuing to take donations for the House of Glitter decolonization projects with Push Learning Media. You can donate on Facebook or using our Venmo, the Glitter Goddess Collective. And check out our website, theglittergoddesscollective.org. We have some dance classes, virtual offerings happening. So check that out. Also check out PCL's YouTube. They have a bunch of virtual programming happening there as well. So let's get started. I like to suggest if you don't have a mat, you can use a blanket or a carpet, whatever feels good for you. If you have a blanket or a pillow for some extra support, I definitely encourage that. And I always encourage having a bottle of water nearby for some hydration. So we will start seated. And once you find yourself seated, roll the shoulders back, find a nice, tall, long spine. And we'll begin just by tapping into the natural breath. Just noticing your inhales and exhales here. Just paying very close attention to the sensation of the breath, filling the lungs, leaving the lungs. And while you're here, I'll invite you to lengthen each breath. Taking in a longer, bigger inhale and a longer, bigger exhale. Maybe finding a little more length in the spine here. And from here, I'll invite you to grab the knees, press the chest forward on your inhale, and exhale to round the spine. Let the chin fall to the chest. Again, slowly pressing the chest forward, hips back to inhale. Exhaling to round the spine. Again, inhaling, press the chest forward. Exhale, round the spine slowly with control. Continue this pattern with your inhales and exhales. Remembering to keep each breath slow, controlled. And from here, you can come back to a neutral spine. We'll drop the right hand down to our right side, lifting the left arm up and over, stretching out the whole left side body. And when you're ready, we'll switch over to the other side. Reaching the right arm up and over. Let's come back to center. From here, we'll drop the head to the left side, keeping the right shoulder down and back. Keeping that slow, controlled breath, we'll drop the chin to the chest, keeping a tall spine. And then we'll drop the head over to the right, keeping the left shoulder down and back. We'll return back to chin to chest. This time, dropping the head over toward the left shoulder, we'll grab the side of the head with the left hand, reaching the right hand away, keeping that right shoulder down and back. Just allow the gravity here to do its work without pulling any extra weight on the neck, these delicate muscles. From here, we'll turn toward the shoulder, grabbing the back of the head. And then we'll move from here to chin to chest, grabbing the back of the head with both hands, interlocking the fingers behind the neck. Just letting the elbows hang heavy here. And on your next exhale here, really slowly with control, roll down into a rounded spine. You might really feel this in the spine here. And then rolling back up, elongating the spine. We'll release the hands, drop the head over to the other side. We can grab with the right hand, reaching the left far away from the body. Remembering to keep that left shoulder down, far away from the ear. Keeping that slow, controlled breath. When you're ready, we'll turn the head toward the shoulder, grabbing the back of the head. And then release. From here, we'll just roll the head from shoulder to shoulder, slowly with control. Opening up all the muscles in the neck. Let's bring the head back to neutral. We'll send the arms out wide. Let's cross the right arm over the left. You can give yourself a big hug. And then we'll bend in the left, straightening out the right, keeping the right shoulder down and back. You can rotate out the right wrist here. And then we'll release, bringing the arms out wide. Crossing the left over the right this time. Give yourself a hug. And then bend in the right, straighten out the left. And release. From here, we'll inhale to roll the shoulders up toward the ears. Exhale to release. Inhale the shoulders up toward the ears. Exhale, release. Inhale the shoulders up. Exhale, release. From here, we'll rotate in the wrists. And then palms out, facing the fingers toward the body. You can start to press the fingers into the floor, maybe reaching toward the palms to go flat. Opening up the wrists. You can give the forearms some topical heat to release, soften the fascia, releasing some tension. And whenever you're ready, we'll meet in tabletop. Before you get there, I'll invite you to get some water. Every time we go into tabletop, I like to suggest a pillow or blanket beneath the knees. We want to make sure that we're stacking the knees below the hips and the wrists just below the shoulders here. So first we'll start by pressing the chest forward, reaching the hips up and back on the inhale for cow. And on the exhale, you can round the spine, tuck the hips toward the forehead. Inhaling again, press the chest forward, hips back. Exhale, rounding the spine. Again, inhaling, chest forward, hips up and back. Exhaling to round. Inhale, pressing the chest forward. Rounding the spine on the exhale for cat. 2 more times here. Slow, controlled inhale. And exhale to round, just like we did seated. Just noticing that movement in between these 2 poses. Last exhale to round the spine. From here, we'll come back to a neutral back. We can reach the right leg back, tucking the right toes. You can bounce into this, opening up the calf, opening up the whole right side of the leg. And once your leg is opened up, we'll warm up the lower back by lifting that leg, finding a straight line between the top of the head to the right heel. And here we can think about pointing And flexing, engaging in the lower back, engaging in the whole right side. And when you're ready, we'll drop that right knee down to meet the left and send the left foot back this time. Tucking the toes, you can push back into the heel, opening up the calf. And again, let's warm up the lower back and the leg by lifting up the left leg. You can point and flex, find that nice straight line. When you're ready, we'll drop the left knee down to meet the right. Touch the toes behind us and send the hips back over the heels. You can drop the forehead to the floor, reaching the hands far up overhead. This is child's pose, and you can return back to this pose at whatever time in the flow that feels good for you. We'll take a couple of breaths here. From here, we're going to crawl the hands up to the upper right. Reaching that left hand far away from the body, you can keep the left hip down and back, stretching out the whole left side of the body. Finding those long, expansive breaths. And from here, we'll crawl through center, reaching to the upper right side. You can think about crawling that right hand far up overhead and keeping the right hip down and back. And when you're ready, we'll come back to center. We'll push ourselves back up into downward dog. Into tabletop. And from here, remembering to stack the shoulders with the wrists. We'll send back both legs for plank. Here, a modification you can take is to lower down the knees. Either way, we're pressing into the mat with all points of the hands. When you're ready, you can lower the knees, the hips, the chest, and the head down to the mat. Let's take a couple breaths here. When you're ready, we'll press ourselves up into Sphinx pose. So we're going to bring the elbows just beneath the shoulders. You can press the palms into the floor. You can have the hands directly pressing into one another. And we're engaging in the lower back, maybe pointing the toes, finding strength in the legs, pressing the hips into the floor, reaching tall and long with the neck, finding as much distance as we can from the ears to the shoulders, pressing into the floor, finding that energy between the elbows and the earth, finding that slow, controlled breath. And when you're ready, we'll lower back down to the mat, maybe stacking the hands to rest the head. Again, recalibrating to that slow, controlled breath. Whenever you're ready, we'll press back up through tabletop. Let's bring the knees closer together this time, touching the toes, and then reaching the hips back to round the spine in this child's pose. allowing the head to reach to the floor. And then we'll press back up through tabletop again. From here, let's go up to plank one more time. And then keeping the hands and feet where they are, we're gonna send the hips up and back for downward dog. Here, you can keep the knees bent. In our first downward dog, we can pedal out both of the legs, pressing the heels down toward the floor, finding length in the spine, remembering to keep the shoulders in their sockets. And then from here, we'll crawl the hands toward the feet for forward fold. Just allowing the hands and the head to hang heavy here. Maybe finding a micro bend in the knees. And then we'll really think about bringing some intention into the transition from forward fold to standing into Tadasana pose. We'll find a micro bend in the knees, and as if the hands are super, super heavy, we'll roll slowly up the spine, starting with the bottom, rolling all the way up to the top, breathing on your way, noticing each sensation on your way to standing. We'll roll the shoulders back when we get to the top. And here we can face the palms outward. Bring the feet a little bit wider than the hips. Finding yourself in Tadasana in mountain pose. We can find some grounding here by rocking into the toes and back to the heels. And once you feel grounded, we'll raise the arms up overhead on the inhale. And we'll swan dive back down to forward fold. Slow movements. Taking a couple breaths here. On your next inhale, we'll transition into flat back by pressing into the shins, reaching the hips up and back like we did in cow. We'll take a couple breaths here. When you're ready, exhale to go back into forward fold, bent knees. And again, notice this transition, make it as slow as possible. Rolling up the spine to standing. Hands are heavy. Breath is slow. Again, roll the shoulders when you get to the top. Facing the palms outward. Finding that grounding. We'll inhale again to raise the arms up overhead. Exhale, swan dive down, forward fold. Inhale for flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Bending the knees. Slowly roll up to standing. Slow as possible. When you transition here, having the head moving from above the hips to below the hips, it can make us feel lightheaded, especially if you experience high blood pressure. These transitions you might need to have a little bit more intention with. We'll do this one more time, inhaling the arms up overhead. Exhale slowly, swan dive down. Inhale slowly, flat back, reaching the hips up and back, finding length in the spine and the neck. Exhale, back down to forward fold. This time we'll crawl the hands forward, back into downward dog. Again, you can pedal out the legs here, reaching the heels toward the floor. Our next pose is going to be lunge. And to transition into lunge, let's find our full expression of downward dog. Finding as much length in the spine as we can, using the strength in our hands and in our feet. And on our next inhale, we'll raise the right leg up. Maybe holding this for a moment if we can. And we'll bend the knee. Let's bring that knee close to the chest. And then drop that right foot between our hands for lunge. Here we're checking in with the stack between our knee and our ankle, framing the foot with both hands. We can think about pressing the left hip forward here, finding strength in both of the legs. Breathing into the sensation. And when you're ready, we'll press that left hand into the floor, reaching the right hand up and over. Opening up to the right side. Let's rotate the hand back down. From here, going into warrior, we'll drop the left heel down to the floor and burst up and open. Checking in again with our stack on the right side. Keeping that strength in both legs. We'll flip the front palm, reaching forward and then up and back. And then reaching the right elbow toward the knee. We'll lift that left arm up and over, stretching out the left side body. And let's come back to warrior, finding strength again in the legs. We'll flip both palms this time. We'll inhale to straighten the right. And exhale, bending back into the knee. Flip the palms to inhale to lift and straighten. Exhale, bending. Inhale to strengthen the knee, we're straightening out. And exhale, remembering not to bend beyond that stack here. Inhale 2 more times, up. Exhaling, back to warrior. 1 more time, flip the palms, inhale slowly, up. And exhale, bend. From here, we'll turn toward our knee, popping that left heel back up, coming back down for lunge. Again, pressing the left hip forward, we can think about breathing into the sensation, sending the breath down toward the hips, into the belly, maybe engaging with the whole left side, engaging with the left lower back, the left glute. If you do have a pillow or blanket, I'll suggest to drop it down beneath the left knee, because we're going to drop the left knee down, lift the upper body, and straighten the right leg. Here for this hamstring stretch, you can stay up if this feels comfortable for you. If you want a little more of a challenge, you can drop down, reaching that right hip out and back, pressing the heel into the floor, breathing into the sensation here in the hamstrings. And when you're ready, we'll bend back into that right side for lunge. Tuck the toe again on the left side, and we'll reach the right foot back to meet the left for plank. From here, we can slowly lower the hips, just the hips down and the knees, untuck the toes. Pressing the hips forward, we can open the chest, open the throat. And we'll pop back into tabletop, tuck the toes, and we'll go back into downward dog. Again, you can keep the knees bent here, pedaling back and forth between both legs before we find full expression of downward dog. And once you found full expression, again, we'll find that transition really intentionally going into lunge. Let's challenge ourselves in the strength of our legs and the mobility of our legs and our hips. We'll pop that left leg up, reaching up. It does not have to go as far as mine. It's pretty impressive. We'll bend the left knee toward the chest, and then drop that left foot between the hands. Again, check back in with the stack here. Lengthening that right leg, finding strength in the right side. We'll press that right hip forward. Breathing into the sensation. From here, we'll press into the floor with the right hand. Reach the left hand up, opening up to the left side. We'll bring that the left hand back down to frame the foot. When you're ready, we're gonna transition into warrior on the other side. So drop that right heel down behind you. We'll burst up and open into warrior. Again, making sure that we're stacked here on the left side. We'll just find our breath here for a moment. When you're ready, we'll flip the left palm, reach forward and then up and back. Finding that slow, controlled breath in this pose. Super intentional transition as we bring the left elbow toward the left knee, reaching the right arm up and over. Strength in the legs, expansive breath. And when you're ready, we'll rotate back down. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We're coming back into warrior. We'll flip both palms to inhale, straightening the left leg. Exhale to bend. Inhale to straighten. Exhale to bend. Strengthening the left knee here. Inhale to straighten. Exhale to bend. Notice how slow you can transition between these two poses. Inhale, straighten. Exhale to bend. Notice how flipping the palms can really add some intention to direction here, flipping the palms upward before we inhale to straighten. Flipping the palms downward as we exhale to bend. 2 more times. Inhale to straighten, slow as you can. Slow exhale to bend. Last time, inhale to straighten. Really make it look like a dance. Exhale to bend. From here, we'll pop that right toe behind us, coming back to lunge, dropping the hands down to frame the foot. Again, if you have your pillow, drop that beneath your knee. We'll take just a couple more breaths here in lunge, pressing the right hip forward. And then we'll drop the right knee down, Straightening the left leg. Noticing the sensation in this hamstring stretch. It might feel best for you to round the spine over the leg. It might feel good just to stay up here. Either way, we're pressing the left heel into the floor, keeping the hips squared. When you're ready, we'll flatten that left foot back down to the mat. Tuck the toe behind you. We'll remove our pillow if it's there. Pressing both hands into the mat, we'll send that left foot back to meet the right. Then we'll lower again the knees, the hips, the chest. Taking a moment here to recalibrate the breath. From this position, flat on the floor, we're going to move into child's pose just for a moment. So let's think about what we need to do with our bodies to transition into child's pose. We might start by tucking the hands just beneath the shoulders, and we're going to keep the toes pointed, keep them touching behind us. Just think about reaching back with the entire body, bending the hips, finding yourself folding in the lower half of your body, reaching the hands forward up overhead, letting the forehead just touch the floor, letting the head hang heavy. Finding that slow, controlled breath here in this restorative pose. You can think about the metaphor of the body as a seed. I like to send the hands down by the feet, maybe interlock the hands behind your body. Just let the head hang heavy here, allow the body's weight just to fall into the earth. Keeping that slow, controlled breath, taking in this moment to restore, to recalibrate, to find balance. Whenever you're ready, we'll press the torso back up and we'll come to our knees. Here you can send the hands into imaginary back pockets, but I actually have back pockets today. And you can press the wrists into the upper hips, opening up. Open up the heart, open the shoulders, and when you feel safe, you can allow the head to drop back a little bit. If you feel safe enough to, you can even grab the ankles behind you. Finding that slow, controlled breath. And when you're ready, we'll collapse back down, sending the hips back down over the feet. I'll invite you to take some water before we move forward. From here, we're going to crawl the hands forward. We'll find our last downward dog. So tuck the toes behind us, and we'll reach the hips up and back. Do whatever you need to do in this final downward dog. And we'll transition to forward fold by walking the hands toward the feet. And again, really think intentionally about this transition from forward fold to standing, slowly rolling up from the bottom of the spine to the top as slowly as possible. Rolling the shoulders once you get to the top. From here, we're going to send the legs wider than the hips. You can think about finding like a nice big X with your body. We're going to go into Skandasana. And before we do, we'll find a nice, slow, controlled forward fold with these with the wide stance here in the legs. Bringing the hands down to meet the floor. You can shift your weight back and forth into the hips, opening up the inner thighs, even down into the ankle. And when you're ready, find square hips here. And we'll crawl the hands over to the right side, bending in the left. You can pop that heel up on the right side and keep that left leg long. Here we want to keep the heel into the floor and the toes pointing up. And then find what feels comfortable for you as far as how far your feet are to one another. Sometimes it might feel better having them closer together, depending on the lengths of your legs, your flexibility and mobility. And then when you're ready, we'll transition to the other side. So dropping the left foot flat into the floor, popping the heel into the floor on the right side to move over, reaching back with the hips, noticing that sensation on the inner part of the leg. We'll transition to the other side again. I like to use my elbows here against my knees, so pushing out against the knees, kind of open up the hips a little bit more. Either way, we're pressing into the floor with the heel, flexing in the left ankle, move over to the other side, again, flexing the right ankle. And let's transition to the other side this time with a little more intention, noticing what we need to do with our weight, noticing what we need to do with the hips. We'll find that transition again to the other side. Moving again to the other side. Really play with this transition here. Move again to the other side. And from here, I will challenge you. If you feel like you can take it on, interlocking the hands in front of you, try to transition without the hands. So using just the strength of the legs to push up and over to the other side. Again, pushing up and over to the other side. Here, what we want to really make sure that we're paying attention to is the toes facing in the same direction as the knees. We'll do one more slow, intentional transition to the right side. And from here, we'll pop ourselves back up into this wide-legged forward fold. Take this moment to maybe crawl toward the right foot, maybe giving your right leg a hug. And then we'll crawl toward the left side, giving your left leg a hug. And we'll come back to center. If straddle splits are a part of your practice, this would be a good time to go into it. If not, let's walk the feet toward one another, finding our last forward fold. Slowing down the breath here. And let's think really intentionally about this next transition into a seated position. So finding our seat back on the floor, you can bend the legs slowly with control, as slow as you possibly can. Thinking about every movement, every weight shift, bringing care and intention into your transitions. Once you found yourself flat, butt on the floor, flat feet, we can grab the knees, finding an inhale to press the chest forward like we did at the start of our flow. And exhale to round the spine. You can reach the hands forward. Inhale to grab the knees, press the chest forward. Exhale, round the spine, reach the arms forward. Think about how intentional you can be with the transition between inhales, pressing the chest forward, and the exhales, rounding the spine, finding that movement, finding the flow, finding that smooth transition, inhaling, chest forward. Slow, smooth transition to exhale, to round. Even more intentionally inhaling into this movement, open chest, open heart, maybe open throat. Exhale, round the spine, arms forward. We'll do this one more time before we transition to flat backs against the ground. So inhaling slow and controlled, open the chest, open the shoulders. And as we exhale, we'll lower the spine down, lower, using some of our abs here, middle spine. Really getting into the muscles of the core, upper spine. And then we'll feel our shoulders fall, the arms fall. From here, we can bring the arms out to a T. And let's drop the knees left and right, like a windshield wiper. Massaging the outer hips against the floor. Bringing the legs to stillness. We'll reach the left leg up, reaching the heel toward the ceiling. Here you can interlock the fingers behind the back of the knee, maybe giving some topical heat. You can pull the leg toward the body. Here I'll invite you to flex, point, ankle, foot, toe. And then we'll bend that left knee, drop the left ankle onto the right knee, and we'll thread behind the back of the right thigh, pressing the left elbow against the knee, pulling in toward the body, trying to keep a flat back against the floor. Breathing into the sensation into the outer hips. When you're ready, we'll release. Bring that left foot back to the floor. We'll reach the right foot up this time, heel pressing away from the body, giving some topical keeps behind the knees. We can flex and point. And then same thing on this side, bending the right, dropping that ankle against the knee, threading through behind the left leg, no pulling toward the body. Again, we're working toward a flat spine against the floor. When you're ready, release. We'll bring both feet back down to the floor. We'll do the reverse, transitioning back to where we were. So we'll reach the hands toward the knees, and using the core muscles, we'll roll up from the upper spine slowly with control. Middle spine, lower, and then we'll straighten both legs out ahead of us. Forward fold here against the floor, rounding the spine, forehead toward the knees. And this time we'll transition down into Shavasana for a flat back. I'll warn you that we're not fully going into Shavasana yet. We're just transitioning down into this pose. Lower back, middle back, upper back, shoulders. Take a breath once you're laying. And on the exhale, we'll reverse that. Shoulders, upper back, middle back, rounding the spine for forward fold. Reaching the hands toward the feet. Last transition, rolling down into the floor as slow and controlled as you possibly can. Really thinking about each movement, being aware of all the muscles we need to get down flat. Shoulders and then arms falling into the floor. Here you can allow all of your weight into the floor. Just release, let go. Here in Shavasana, the work in this pose is to do no work at all. So take this moment for yourself. In this very moment, you're responsible for nothing. You can trust yourself to be supported by the earth. Release here in the hips. You can use the breath here to find that transition into relaxation mode, using the exhales to release in the back, using the exhale to release in the shoulders, relaxing in the neck. You can use the eyebrows to even release Use the exhale to release in the eyebrows and in the jaw. And in these last few breaths in Shavasana, I'll invite you to think about this season of transition. As the trees change their colors and shed, think about what it is you might need to shed, what it is you might need to move forward from, what you might need to get rid of, what you might need to invite. And with that invitation of release, think about the ways that you'll transition. Think about how slowly and intentionally you may need to bring awareness into your body, into your mind, into your heart. Think about the silence it might take for you to notice that voice to say, hey, let's slow down. Let's transition with a little more intentionality. Let's take stock and notice. We learn most about ourselves in times of transition. So hearing that call from your body, listening in, noticing that communication between mind and body. Do what you need to do now to press yourself up into seated position, maybe wiggling in the fingers, wiggling in the toes. You might want to crawl up onto one side before pressing up to seated. However you'd like to get there, really think about that transition. Think about the slow movements. Think about listening into all of the sensations to get there. And once you're here, you can have your hands on the knees, over the heart, or at heart center. We'll close with 4 of our closing breaths. A breath for the ancestors that we bring into our practice today. Breathing in and out. A breath for the indigenous people who were here on these lands before colonization. Breathing in and out. A breath to appreciate others for their support. Breathing in and out. And a breath for transition, for autumn. Breathing in and out. The loving human in me bows down to the loving human in you. Namaste. So, thank you for practicing with us today. Again, happy fall, happy full moon, happy October. Our Facebook, you can find our virtual opportunities there. You can Venmo us again at the Glitter Goddess Collective. Our website is theglittergoddesscollective.org. You can find out some more information on what we're up to. That's it. I will be here again next week. Bye.